The DJI Power 2000 is a really simple and powerful option for getting into plug-in solar. In this video, we're going to walk through setting the device up, working out what you can do with it. Is there any Home Assistant integration? Can you use overnight arbitrage? Things like that. We're going to deep dive into this battery and how it can be used for plug-in solar. So as an overview, the DJI Power 2000 is a 2 kilowatt portable battery unit that can be taken wherever you want to go. It's portable. It's relatively easy to carry, can be plugged into a socket to charge up within a few hours, and you can take it off grid. The Power 2000's life cycle is a 10-year lifespan of 4,000 cycles. So that's one cycle every single day. Full charge to empty, all in one day. And then the unit will, after 10 years, still maintain 80% of its usable charge. The battery weighs 22 kilos and is fairly easy to, as it's got really well positioned handles on either side. Picking this up and moving it around isn't really a problem. The battery by itself is 2 kilowatts in size, but can be expanded with expansion batteries up to 22 kilowatts. It doesn't increase the 800 watt output, and the front socket output remains at 3 kilowatts, but you can expand it to be quite a sizable unit. For those interested in warranty information, the default warranty period is 5 years. But the interesting thing about this device is the fact you can plug it into your house and use it to power your house up to 800 watts. If you have any microinverters, it will soak up that excess energy instead of letting it go to the grid for nothing. I'll put a link in the description for the full spec sheet where you can look at the output of all the individual USB ports, etc. I won't go into that detail here. You'll need to download the DJI Home app, which is available on the iOS store, but on Android you need to download it from their website directly and install it as an APK. Link in the description for the install page for the app. So to start off with, you'll want to find a suitable location to put the battery. Connect the AC cable to the front of the device under the flap, and then plug the device in and make sure it turns on. When you open up the DJI Home app, the only option will be Add Device. Hit that and it will immediately start searching for the device via Bluetooth. Once it finds the device, you need to pair it. On successful pairing, it'll ask for Wi-Fi. Please provide it your Wi-Fi information. Only 2.4 gigahertz works. You'll be able to give your device a name. This only really matters if you have more than one system, but you can name it whatever you like. Once it fully connects to your device, it will prompt you to install any updates that are available. You'll be then greeted with the home screen, which shows you the battery percentage charged, temperature, remaining time for discharge or charge, and then there's two toggles, input and output. Input shows you the power going into the device, output shows you all of the USB ports and what power is coming out of the device. All of the individual ports are shown in the app so that you can see which port is outputting which amount of power. The next thing you'll want to do is click the cog in the top right hand corner of the screen. This will open up the settings menu. You'll want to click on the energy optimization option first. It's then going to show you 4 different modes. It'll currently be disabled. You've got schedule, max self-consumption and time of use. I'm now going to explain what each of these do and how they work. Schedule is the simplest of the three. You set a time where you want it to charge, you set a time you want it to discharge, you can set the charging power up to 2,300 watts and you can throttle it all the way down to 600. Of the 3 modes, this one's really simple. You just set a charge window and discharge window based on your peak and off-peak periods. I'm not really going to cover this one in any more detail because you're not going to want to use this for plug-in solar unless you don't have a smart meter. But I would recommend very highly that you get a smart meter because there's basically no point not having one. You have no idea what your internal home consumption is without one. The next mode is maximize self-consumption, and it's the next simplest mode. Essentially all that happens is when there is excess solar on your house grid, the device will recharge. When there is none, the device will discharge if there is demand. If there is demand during the solar window, it will also discharge. It's that simple. To get this mode to work, you need to pair it with your smart meter. You need to select the phase which it's attached to. You can select all three phases if you don't know which one. And then you can select whether or not you would like the DJI 2000 to auto resume when there is some kind of disconnect or power cut. So let's say you unplug the device and plug it back in, you want it to immediately start operating just like nothing had happened. In effect, that's it. There's nothing much more to this mode. It is a fire and forget. It will start saving you money if you've got solar panels. You don't have to really do very much else. So I'm now just going to do a demonstration. So any of this excess solar from these two panels will go into the DJI Power 2000. So I'm going to turn the device on and show you what happens when it resumes and some solar starts going into the device. So I'm going to turn on the Power 2000 and it should start soaking up that excess energy. Yep, there you go. It's now starting to charge. Before we move on to time of use mode, it's worth just mentioning the energy management page. So the energy management page in the DJI Home app allows you to control the discharge limits and reserve levels of the battery. So you can set a discharge limit that the battery will not discharge more than 15% and it will maintain 15%. And you can throttle that all the way down to 0. And then you can set a charge limit so that it won't charge above 70%, and you can throttle that from 70 all the way up to 100. And then there's the custom backup levels. So this is if you're using more than one method of recharging. So if you want AC and solar or just solar charging, and you can control the reserve level through that. So I want just solar charging. So anything above 5% to 100%, it's available for solar. I think this is actually quite restrictive in comparison to other systems. Other systems might be able to, you can set your discharge limit to 50% instead of between 15 and 70. So in reality, I think you're probably going to leave the settings on 0 to 100%. If you want to change them, this is where you can do it. So the final mode is time of use. And this is the most powerful and flexible of all of them, but it's also the most complicated. So you want to switch over to time of use mode. And here you'll be offered the same ability to set your smart meter, but you'll have the ability to adjust your power. So you can have power adjustment set to auto, or you can have it set to manual. When it's set to manual, you can then set the recharging power maximum and the discharging power maximum. The discharging power maximum will be it will just start discharging at 600 watts. So it won't follow your smart meter. It will just discharge at that rate until it's empty. So this is how you can use time of use tariffs. So you can charge up at, let's say, at night if you've got something like Octopus Go, and then you can set it to discharge during the day at a fixed rate. I'm not interested in using this really, unless perhaps just to cover my base load, but I use auto. So auto will automatically adjust just like maximize self-consumption does. But interestingly, you also get the ability to set your peak periods. So I can set my off-peak period, and then I don't have a peak rate period. I just have a flat rate period above my off-peak. So I'm not going to set a peak rate, but potentially if you were with something like Octopus Agile, you would have a peak rate period between, I don't know, 5 and 7 p.m. You can set that here as 5 and 7 p.m. so that the battery will always prioritize discharging during that time period. Time of use then has a chart here that shows you exactly during the solar peak it will prioritize charging, but it will also charge during nighttime when electricity is cheapest, or during whatever time period you specify. And this essentially then becomes a really flexible system. You can unlock time of use tariffs to arbitrage the difference in price between what you pay during a cheap rate and what you pay during the day, as well as charge via solar. So you get the beauty of all three at once. And essentially, those are all the modes. There's nothing much more to it. The app's really simple. These controls are relatively simple and give you a little bit of flexibility, but the likelihood is you'll just want to use maximize self-consumption to just use up the excess, discharge when it needs to. But if you do have a time of use tariff and you want to charge up at night, you could use time of use. So the next thing is integrations, and this is where the Power 2000 is a bit of a disappointment. It doesn't have any Home Assistant control whatsoever. There's no cloud API, there's no open API to access any of the battery's features. It's an entirely closed system that you can only operate it through the DJI Home app. So that means you can't do anything like automate when the battery charges from Home Assistant. It means any smart tariffs that you wish to use, you have to operate manually. So if you were with Octopus Agile and there was a period coming up where electricity was running negative for a while, you would have to manually program that into the battery, or manually tell the battery to charge, which I think is a real disappointment. I think people are going to want much more flexible systems. So the DJI Power 2000 sits in a realm where it's a really simple system, but because it's really simple, it then doesn't have some of those extra features. And if you are after Home Assistant control and advanced features like that, I would steer clear of this battery simply on that fact alone. The plan is to do a full review of the battery once I've had it for a little bit longer and I've got a bit more data. This video is just covering how to use the system, how to get it up and running, and just some initial thoughts. But yeah, I plan to circle back and cover what very limited things you could possibly do with Home Assistant with using third-party things like smart plugs. But I will skip over that for now, and I will cover that in another video. So on first impressions, what do I think about the DJI Power 2000? I think it's quite a simple system, but not the most flexible. There are other systems out there that are more flexible. But in terms of simplicity, ease of installation, portability, based on those facts, it gets a lot of thumbs up. I haven't tested what the unit's like with expansion batteries. I'm only using the main battery inverter unit. But in terms of how easy it is to set up, the different modes, the flexibility in the different modes that are available, I think it's one that should definitely be on some people's watch lists. Now, I'm going to caveat that because I haven't done any efficiency testing yet, and that's something I want to cover off in the review video that finishes off this battery unit and covers potentially some of the things that you can do with Home Assistant to control the battery. But I'd like to have the unit for a bit longer to get some more data, to work out how is the efficiency as good as DJI claims, and then potentially where you can shop around to find the best price. So keep an eye out for that video. There's a lot going on the channel at the moment. There's a lot of battery manufacturers reaching out to me, and there's a lot going on. They're all very exciting. I could not be more pleased. And yeah, the channel's growing at a rate that I never thought possible, really. So it's a thanks to you guys for liking the channel and and following. So thank you very much. If you have any questions or want to discuss this battery unit in the comments, just reach out. I'll try and answer every question that comes along. So yeah, look out for the next videos. Please like and subscribe, and thank you for watching. Cheers.